right. Jeremiah 10, that passage there in the Christmas tree. And the grove will be way back in Genesis, probably before the law. The high places are. I think Abraham's connected with one. Somebody find me the word grove in Genesis before the law. I don't have a concordance here, don't have it marked, so I haven't got it. But if you got a concordance, it ought to be a reference in 2133. That sounds like it. That's still under. Abraham. Yeah, there it is. And Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba and called there in the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. Now later that stuff is condemned under the law, that business, that grove. And the two things Abraham does before the law that God accepts that are forbidden by the law. The first one is the grove, and the second one is offering in a high place. But this comes from much earlier. Come back to Genesis chapter 8. And notice the worship of God in a high place begins with Noah. Because, boy, if ever a fella set up an altar in a high place, he set up an altar in a high place. He sets his altar up something like 14,000 feet in the air. And then from then on, from time immemorial, from then on, it becomes a habit to get in a high place to worship God. And the idea behind that, is that the higher up you get, the closer you get to God. High places. That's why all these countries have these sacred mountains. Mount Everest and Fujiyama and all that stuff. And that thing is in Genesis chapter 8, when Noah gets out of the ark, verse 18, 20, he builds an altar to the Lord. And that thing's 14,000 feet in the air. So from then on, they have a habit of sacrificing in high places, and Abraham plants a grove. All right, now come Deuteronomy 16, and here's how it's forbidden under the law. 16:21. Deuteronomy 16:21. And this is the constant theme of the prophets throughout Kings and Chronicles when they go into apostasy in Israel and Judah. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 21. Thou shalt not plant thee a grove of any trees near to the altar of the Lord thy God, which thou shalt make thee. Neither shalt thou set thee up in any image, which the Lord thy God hateth. Now, you Yankees up here, you have a much better chance to see this than Southerners do. Although we see it a good bit around Huntsville, Alabama, and New Orleans, and a few places like that. But up here, you drive around, I bet you know a dozen places you drive by somebody's house, and there's a statue of Mary sitting out in that yard, or Joseph, or some jerk, and it's sitting out there, and then there's a bunch of trees, bushes planted around it, especially at the Catholic hospital. Now, that's the stuff that's forbidden. One of my friends, 40 of us saved, used to go around and knock heads off those statues and then laugh at them and say, "What's the matter, Mary? Did you lose your head?" And one time he stole a statue of Mary and stuck it in a drawer in a dresser in his house and wrote the Lord a note and said, "Dear God, if you don't send me what I want at Christmas time, I'm not going to give you back your mother. I'm keeping her." Yeah, this bottom drawer. Now, those statues sitting around with a grove around them, that's what's forbidden. All right, in Jeremiah chapter 10, this is not said to be a grove, but it is a tree which could be cut out of a grove. And he says this, 10:2. Learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the sign of the heathen, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the custom of the people are vain, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hand of the workman with an axe. They'll be on sale now the next 3 weeks. They deck it with silver and with gold. They spray them sometime with silver and gold. They hang gold and silver tinsel on them. And they fasten with nails with the hammers that it move not. You have a little base down there you put the tree in. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither can they do any good. So that's the thing there, which was why some ultra-separated Christians don't have any Christmas tree in their home, because of Jeremiah 10. Now, there's a couple things about that. Look at the end of verse 5. They're neither good nor bad. Paul says, though there be many that are called lords and gods, but to us there's but one God, the Father, and one Lord, the Lord Jesus Christ. Paul says, we know we have knowledge, and we know that an idol is nothing in this world. That is, it's nothing. The tree is just a tree. So it isn't going to kill you. And the second thing about it is, verse 2, they're dismayed at the signs of heaven, and you're not. And they're worth putting this thing up here to worship it. That's an entirely different thing. Now, if you want to be ultra-separatist, you can say, well, I'm not going to do anything the heathen do and follow their custom because it's a heathen custom. Well, okay, then go to work on Christmas Day. I mean, I have people write me and say, Ruckman, how come you observe Christmas? Because it's a national holiday. Romans 13, 1-4. How's that? And they get real. Now, we put a Christmas tree in the church. We don't have a Christmas tree in our church, but our church we're peculiar anyway. We don't have an American flag. We don't have a Christian flag. And we don't have I don't see how well that means, how many last Sunday or a week ago or a month ago or the off from that. We don't have that either. We don't have nothing in our church like that. And so we're kind of oddballs. But I wouldn't say this thing here prevents you from having a decorated tree in your house. So just, like I tell my kids, I tell them, because I kid them about Santa Claus coming down the chimney and burning his britches in the fireplace and all that. But around Christmas time is good for one thing. At least at that time of the year, everybody, their mind is turned toward Jesus Christ. That's good. You can take advantage of that. Now, of course, with us, I've got knowledge. I know when he was born. He was born the 23rd of September. Not the 25th of December. So when September comes, we sing, Way in a Manger, and Come All Ye Faithful. Everybody gets all screwed up, We sing, we sing songs about the resurrection, in August, and sing about Christmas in September. It's nothing to us, I mean, if you're saved, you don't have to go for that kind of stuff. So we're not fanatical about it. We're kind of fanatical about something. But you know what you can do at Christmas time? Now, this is a lot of fun. You get a bunch of young people together and go to a big restaurant where everybody's whooping it up and get you a table reserved there in the middle, a center table. You see about 15 or 20 kids there. And then right in the middle of that thing, when the place is just packed, you all get up and toast. So, all think you're drinking liquor, And you toast and you sing, Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Jesus, happy... Oh, boy, you talk about turning the place upside down, man. I've done that, and that works. That works. So when it comes to those kind of things, we get a tree for the kids and give them the presents and let them know that the Lord's paying for the presents. And let them know if it weren't for the Lord, they wouldn't have any presents. We do it that way. 5 minutes 12, yes, sir. Nothing like a Bible to clear up a college education.